Any changes to the agenda?
I think Carol gave them to you on
17.
Thursday.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any since then.
So we're,
Okay, so everything that's printed is what we need, right? Okay.
Okay. So, we accept the agenda. There was some, wait a minute.
Oh,
Maybe we could just talk about CRs at the end of the meeting for just a second, all right?
Okay, yeah.
and I've got, I want to bring up something from my zoning board meeting that I attended the other day too.
Okay. So I'll accept the agenda with those.
I make a motion to accept the agenda with the two amendments.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we only have one RDA. We could do that. And then,
We
move
had
in.
two informals that we thought.
Oh,
we
okay,
could
you want to do
fit
those
in.
first?
Yep.
Okay. An informal discussion, Maxwell, 15 Irving Street, proposed deck.
Hi, how are you guys doing
How's it
today?
going?
Good, you?
Good, thank you.
Off
for the-
5 Irving Street.
For the record, you
Five Irving Street.
state your name and,
My name's Brian Maxwell. I am here on behalf of the homeowner, who is Tom Serrani, and what he is proposing to do, or would like to do, is to add a farmer's porch onto the existing house and wrap that around the front side of the house, onto the side where the river meets the house. There is a deck in place now on both areas. However, we would like to continue the two together and basically join them. I do have the plot plan as well as a proposed plan of what he's trying to do. And I guess basically what we're looking for is some input from you guys as to whether it's feasible, and if so, what would be required on your end.
do we have, we don't have anything, it's just what you have.
I-
Can we have your
Yeah.
plan?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think before they file an RDA or an NOI, we just get some.
Yes.
Yeah. Is this the last house on the street, right on the river there?
But not enclosed.
Okay.
Right now, there is an existing small deck there, there is an existing deck
I'm
here,
not sure.
and obviously the river is right here.
So it's on the left side as you go down towards the river?
Is it here?
Yep, South River, existing deck, and you wanna,
What we're proposing to do is the existing deck is here now, the existing front deck, which is the small one right here.
Okay.
yeah,
And so you want to do what?
We'd like to carry the deck all the way across the front of the house. We'd like to extend it from here all the way around and continue.
And you want to connect it? You're going to connect it
Just
too?
as this drawing shows. Yep.
so this would be all roofed in.
Yeah.
Correct.
But not enclosed?
Not enclosed, no.
And how far is it from the coastal dune, 20?
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So the front of the house we're saying is the one, that side that looks at the river, right?
Pat, did you, I mean, my personal feeling is this is only 20 feet away from the river,
Right.
so I think you'd have to file a notice.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely,
And
and
then-
again, I just wanted to
Yeah.
get your
Um,
input, see.
I guess the thing is, I'd be talking with the owners about some mitigation. You're gonna increase the impervious surface. So I have no idea what the edge of that,
Don't it come down to here like this?
no, that doesn't look the same. I don't know if that's the right one. Cause that, see this house jogs,
Yeah.
slide up a little bit.
Oh, it's this one here?
Yeah.
Aha.
I guess I'd be curious to know what existed along the edge of that, where the river edge meets the lawn.
Right along here.
Yeah.
Would, I mean, we can't say for certain. Obviously, you need,
And again, before we went too far over the whole
Yeah.
process, I just wanted to feel you guys out.
have you been to the site?
No, I figured you'd come out, talk to us about it, and then we could go look at it, and it may be that someone needs to, delineate what's in between the river and the house there, too.
Right.
I mean, the system wasn't done too long ago, I think it was
Yep.
2008 or 9
Sure.
or something like that.
So we have a file.
There wasn't anything in it, was there?
Oh,
I don't recall, but I do remember you asking. I think we looked.
There ought to be.
through it.
Yeah, if there was a
Yeah,
system
the Board
down.
of Health, that was.
No,
Oh, that's
yeah.
right, that's right. We couldn't
Yeah.
find it.
Right.
Right. We did. We looked for it and we couldn't find it. Might have been after a storm and there was a
know what
repair
that
period
place
and
is.
they did it.
But
and
we still
didn't.
make them file.
I know.
Notice
Yeah.
after the fact.
I know.
Put in a
2008,
certificate of
been 5
compliance.
years ago, huh?
Put in a certificate of compliance.
This one, we couldn't even find a file on this.
That's what I mean, though, if it has a
It is a
certificate, it
different
won't be.
owner now.
So you just
Right.
go downstairs.
The last year.
I thought it wasn't on your list though.
Title V.
On-
Really?
Yeah, on,
And again, just really just trying to get a feel for where you guys would be at and whether it's even
I'll come up and look
feasible.
downstairs, Carol.
Well, first, let me look at my list again.
Yeah.
So, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for Pat to go out and take a look. You know, obviously, you're getting really, you're all in the buffer.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being that there was existing there and ultimately we're just trying to tie it in, but again, I know there's disturbance and
Right.
whatnot, so.
yeah, there's also the River Protection Act that, you know, there's a certain disturbance it triggers and you can't go over that amount, so.
Right.
But it was just more to get a feel of, you know, a deck and connecting things might be possible.
See if
so,
you guys would even think of it.
Yeah. We have a lot of people live down that way, they'd probably wanna visit it, so we can,
Right.
from the commission, we can.
Do you think?
Um,
This week?
Yeah, yeah, we could do it this week.
well, why don't you take a look and see what the edge of the,
Okay.
river
Mhm.
area looks like? I mean, I would think they'd have to offer some pretty significant mitigation to be able to do that. But if that edge of that hadn't been improved, or there's something like that, then we'd have to talk about it.
Okay, no, I understand, again, that's pretty much what.
Well, you need an NOI regardless.
But more than likely, you're gonna have to get somebody to help you, I would say, with all those resource areas.
For sure, for sure. So, I mean, obviously, you'd like to do a review of the property, do basically a site visit, and then I guess we go from there.
Yeah, you talked to Pat and on an NOI.
Yeah, well, why don't you guys
We'll go out this week.
take a look? I mean, if he looked at everything and it was, seemed like it's real pristine, you may be shooting a little bit too high. But
Yeah.
I think it's something that,
Again, that's why we wanted to come here first.
right,
before-
right, well,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
and
Appreciate that.
you coming.
could save you a little bit of
Absolutely.
effort.
Absolutely, and you guys as well, so, I mean, there's no point in, you know,
Okay.
so.
Um,
and if they were-
Yeah, why don't I get an email address and a phone number, and then, you know, we'll get back to you. What's,
It's open, I'll just write it down and leave it in there.
yeah, give you this, write it on this, and you can throw it in there, and then get in touch with them and figure out a time to go out there.
You guys might have a couple reasons to go back to Humrock, so you could,
Is there
Could
ever
have.
not a reason?
okay.
Well, thank you very much.
All
for
right,
your
nice to
time.
meet
Yeah.
you. Thanks a lot for
Take
coming
care,
in.
thanks.
Brian?
Adams, Old Oaken Bucket Road, removal of invasive species.
I'm Steve Litchfield, I'm a trustee of the Historical Society, and Dave Ball sent me because he's busy doing other things.
Because it's not a seawall.
No, that's probably what he's doing.
Yeah.
So he asked me to come up here because I was up at the house about a week ago. So the old Oaken Bucket House out back, there's an area back there that had trails put in, I don't know how many years ago, a Boy Scout did it, going up to the big buttonwood tree that's out there. And this guy, John Adams, who lives just over the line in Norwell, was volunteered to clear the area. So what he's already done is cleared the trails out, because nobody's been up there in a long time. It was getting all grown with invasives and stuff. A lot of poison ivy, just small saplings and alder bushes and multiflora roses, all the crap that grows in the woods. So we want to kind of clean it up a little bit and make it so people can go back there again, because nobody goes there. It's kind of a neat spot.
Sure.
So we just want to come before you people and make sure that we didn't go too crazy and kind of let you know what we're doing, so you wouldn't panic and think we're gonna cut down all the trees or anything.
Is there any,
Any panic?
It's kind of wet back there.
yeah, I was gonna, well, I'm just wondering if, do we show anything on our mapping?
I don't know, I just thought that if someone was familiar with the site, that if he talked to you, might know about it, but, you know, we can go out, take a walk around it. and,
There's a, behind the house, there's a little bridge that goes in, there's a
Right.
sign there, it goes up into the trails. One way goes to there's a huge mounted septic system, which I had the pleasure of mowing after about 5 years of it not being mowed the other day.
That's the system for the Old Oaken Bucket House?
It's a big mound, and they neglected to mow it. It's a good thing we got out there, because we had trees starting to grow there.
Wow.
So I took a DR mower out, cleared that all out, and then I took the mower and I just mowed the trail that was there a little bit. And this fellow, John Adams, had cut the brush along the trail just so you could get back to the tree.
Sure.
And there was a lot of, there was a huge multi-floor roads growing up the side of that tree already, so we took that out and cleared around the tree again.
Steve, is there, I'm trying to remember, is there drainage or a road that comes from Walnut Tree Hill to the right of that property, or is it further down the street?
It's next to it's like a road almost going up
Right.
the hill. In fact, it looks like there's been some work done fairly recently, because the crushed stone in there is pretty clean looking.
Right, well, they had problems with
I
water
know that
running down.
drainage, back when my father was conservation, he talked about that whole thing, told me
Right.
about it.
Steve's
And,
dad was,
My dad was
served
from
as a,
Litchfield, he was
on the
chairman
commission
years
for a
ago.
long time.
Oh,
and
no
chaired it.
kidding.
So, I was over there, because I was right up next to it where I was mowing, just to clear the mound off. I didn't
Sure.
go beyond it, I just did the mound.
Do you know if, Mr. Adams has any experience with,
He's apparently got quite a bit of experience working in this field. I'd never met him until we had a board meeting a week ago, and he showed up and told us what he wanted to do. And he seems to know what he's doing. He was there while I was mowing, and I kind of watched what he was doing.
Sure.
Seems like he doesn't want to go crazy. And we want to get rid of some of the dead fall that's in there from the storms, and they call it the deep tangle of wildwood. It's really tangled.
right, right. Pat, this is a historical property. If you head up Old Oaken Bucket, I think you probably come to work that way.
Mhm.
Just
What
before
number
you
is
get
it?
into the,
I don't remember the address, to be
it's
honest
not too
with
far from the Rotary.
Yeah.
No, it's not far
Yeah, I
at
know
all.
where it
The
is.
big sign is out
Quarter of a
front.
mile from the
Yeah,
road.
It's marked with one of the society signs out.
Yeah. Yeah, I know where it is.
And the land
Remember it was.
goes back, a few hundred feet, and then it goes down towards the rotary direction a ways. And I think it abuts a piece of conservation land that actually goes all the way over to Run 23,
Does it go all the way over?
not too far from the Tedeschi property.
Hmm.
Right, right.
And I think we abut that property as well in the back. There's some stone walls in there, they're pretty hard to see. I
Yeah.
didn't do too much climbing around, because there's a lot of poison ivy in there.
We must have a plan too, if there was a septic not that long ago, so there's probably
The
a,
septic is probably 10 years old, I'd say maybe a little older than that. I kind of remember when it was built, but I don't remember exactly.
Mhm.
But we
That's
should
the
still
glare
have
of
it
the light.
Yeah,
downstairs.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big one, it's a high mount, it's huge. There's only one person living there, but I think there's 3 bedrooms, so that's probably why it's big.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if Pat, I mean, this is a town property, if you wouldn't mind,
Sure.
Well, actually, it isn't. That property's owned by the society.
or this is, well,
But
But
it's
essentially,
it's a
it's a-
kind of a public property in a way.
right.
But that one, actually, the society owns.
If you wouldn't mind, Steve?
If I could just mention, you might be able to get Howard Matthews to go over there with him if he's not that busy and walk the trail. He does tons of trails out in the West End.
No, we know, yes.
He may be able to help him and lighten
Yeah.
Pat's load.
It just depends.
But I guess I'm thinking more, if Pat could take a look and see what's in there for potential wetlands, and get a sense from Mr. Adams if, he understands, if he's gonna be doing
It
anything
seems
with.
like he does. I've only met him twice, but
Yeah.
he's done this kind of work.
But-
He's a caretaker of the property up just over the line in Norwalk.
But the practices that he might use, I mean, if he's thinking about using like a Roundup or something like that, just how he intends to,
I think mostly he wants to just cut. He
Okay.
had a pair of lopping shears and, a lot of the bittersweet, we just chopped it off at the ground to kill it, because then they'll fall out of the trees.
right.
But,
Do you know how much land they have, Steve?
there's a couple acres there. It goes down the hill a ways. I think it goes down in front of the clap house, which is on the other
Mhm.
side. I don't know how far. And then there's a house in there. I don't know where their land comes. I didn't get a chance to look at the,
I wanted to save you some time if it wouldn't hurt for them to even come to the office and you could pull it up on a map and take a look.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go to Old Oaken Bucket this week. We have 2 other things going on out there, so
Okay.
I can
if
give
you want me to
you,
go,
yeah, give you my card and,
sure.
all right.
Why don't you see if you guys can connect, I know Pat's already got a slew of things going on, but make it as simple
we're not in a screaming rush to do this, but we thought we'd.
Well, fall's a good time to-
Fall's a good time to do it.
Plus,
Early winter.
we wanna help out, obviously, doing the right thing, so, yeah.
Exactly. Out by the street, it's gotten pretty fallen down and it's kind of a mess. So we,
Right.
you know, if we could get it cleaned up a little, we might be able to get the public to go back there and kind of enjoy the property, because, you know, it's what it's there for.
Okay. Is that all right?
Yep, that sounds good.
So I'll give you a comment.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
you know, I can't imagine that trimming or
No,
reopening the trails are a big deal, but if it gets more, I think it's
Yeah.
important to know
I
just,
mean, it goes down to the streets, there's a lot of stuff in there. We're thinking in the wintertime when it's more open, we might get rid of some of
Right.
the trees that fell down and some of that, and just clear that junk out. But we're not gonna cut any trees down or anything, that's.
yeah. I know that they ran drainage and things.
There
when
is
they built-
drainage there, there's a little bridge right there where you go in, and it looks like
Right.
drainage coming from the septic going down towards the rotary direction.
Yep.
But it wasn't wet, but nothing is right now.
Yeah, no, I think that would be great.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
yeah, that's
All right,
great.
thank you. Thanks,
you.
Steve.
Thanks.
For an RDA, we have, is it SEMP?
Smeep?
SMEP?
Yeah.
I got a P on mine.
They spelled it wrong in the letter also.
Sorry.
Oh,
Smeed.
it's a D?
S-M-E-E-D.
118, oh, I'm sorry.
Smeed.
118 Corner Stetson Road. So this is Blooming Place.
Every Bloomington now.
Yeah, every
Yes.
Blooming,
You-
sorry.
You know place.
We'll get it right, it's on TV. so-
It's in Hanover anyway, so
I
I don't
thought
know what
I
you're doing.
recognized
Yeah.
you when I said, where do I know him
I know, I'm in nice clothes. It's hot place.
He's got some plants outside if you guys wanna buy some.
Yeah.
My name's Phil Spath.
Got a bunch of viburnums and,
Got a bunch of them.
Spath Engineering, this is Scott Smead, whose family owns that, every blooming thing. And what we're here to do today is ask for a request for determination of, we're gonna be paving, they wanna do is repave the paved areas that are already there. And there's an area that falls, within 100 feet of the wetlands, as shown, I indicated on the sketch.
oh, shoot, you know what?
Right in here.
Phil, give me 2 seconds. On September 30th, 2013, at 6:15 meeting, Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation, we went from these informals to a formal. We'll react to the request of Stephen Smead for determination of applicability of Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Scituate Wetlands bylaws to add a trench drain, storage tank, and resurface existing pavement on property located at 118 Cornet Stetson Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Sorry.
Thank you. Again, it's for really resurfacing the driveway entrance, which goes into the site. While they were doing that, and they know the problems that the drainage the town's been having, is to put in some interceptor drains along the way and put it into a holding tank, which would overflow into the town's system. And they want to use that water as part of the sprinklers. So that work shown on the plan would be far outside the 100-foot buffer. But they would want, ought to help out the situation that the drainage is doing coming down off the hill. So again, what we're just looking for is a determination for that small little paved area that they just want to repave.
So they're gonna leave the gravel parking.
Yeah, everything, nothing new is, no new pavement is being added. They're just gonna repave what pavement is there. Nothing new, no drainage, increased drainage. Matter of fact, we're gonna be reducing the drainage by putting in the holding tank that is presently there. And they'll use that water.
And then you're
on sprinkler
recycling the-
system. Yeah.
Recycling the water.
Yeah, so recycling the water, putting into the shrubs, into the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
Sounded like a good plan. Public Works spoke with Phil about the project too, and they were glad to have less water entering into the street area in front on 123.
The holding tank's already there, right?
No, that'll be fine. The trench drains and the holding tank will be part of the new drainage system that we're going to be putting in.
When all the sprinklers have been running past, I've been there, I think, when they've been running, a lot of that water has gone down to the street, am I correct?
Oh, it runs like
And
right
now,
down the main
and
road.
this would eliminate that,
Well,
or?
it'll catch a lot of it.
Okay.
It's coming down the what it is all the planting and shrubbery is all up in this area.
Right.
And the pavement stops up here.
Right.
So you put interceptor drains along
many
the way.
times.
So when it comes in, as it goes down, there's a walkway.
Right.
In the middle.
Right.
It'll be catching that water. It goes
It's
down
already-
that walkway.
That's what I was
all
asking,
existing.
exactly. Thank you.
All of this is here.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
What they wanna do is
Put the
do
holding
some
tank in
paving
and
here,
then
put the holding
pave
tank,
there.
and then, so rather than have a run down on the gravel,
Yeah,
I mean, across the street is a town well.
yeah.
So will you be taking out the current pavement and then repaving?
Right. They'll be grinding it up and then grading and repaving. Only the stuff that is already paved, not gonna add any new pavement
Okay.
over non-paved areas.
Do we have a plan, Phil, of what is paved and what isn't? Do we know what is paved?
I do.
Totally,
Do we have an idea how many square feet you're doing?
no, there's really no overall plan. What they're, I just completed the design today, so. The areas that are paved, the pavement that goes down here ends up top here. This area is paved, this area is paved, and there's gravel walkways, but a lot of this run out just sheets right down. And there's a trench, a swale, that water gets, and it goes away. So the area back in here, this is all paved, this is the end of the pavement, back in here in the gravel parking lot. This area is all paved.
So the area that's dotted,
Yeah.
are you saying that's existing pavement?
Yes, yeah, that's the paved walkway that goes.
And so
right
that's
down.
gonna get ground or dug up and then repaved?
Parts will be ground and parts will just be topped.
Okay. But regraded to collect the water?
Well, it's gonna kind of stop, as you see, it's all sheeted right along, that's why we're using trench drains to collect that. So we're not gonna really change the contours significantly.
I see.
I think it's a good plan, and I have been there when it's not been a good well, so.
I'm there every week.
So you know how wet
So-
that main road gets if you're wearing sandals.
1, 2, 3, 4, you can recluse yourself.
Oh. No, I support them. They take
Yeah, I
my
support 'em
money.
too.
They take my money.
Okay. Anybody else?
No, seems to make sense.
Lisa?
No, done.
Pat, what's your thinking?
I mean, my concern was the gravel parking lot, and that's gonna remain unchanged. I mean, there is some work on a paved area, but it's not an additional pavement, and it's, the way the drain is set up, it's just intercepting, so it's not directing it in any other direction other than down through the grates into the ground.
Minimizing the amount of
Right.
pavement.
What's out on the other side of the greenhouses? If you're facing the greenhouses to the right, there's pavement up there. Are you redoing that?
There it is.
Resurfaced.
Resurface?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's a catch basin right there on the road, too. You have two.
On towards the exit, yes.
Yes, 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 yeah. And you'll keep those clean like you do, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's better for everyone that way, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Even though they're brown.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this?
No?
Thanks, Phil.
In a word?
You'll give us a copy
I'm
of
gonna
this?
give this to Pat right now.
Okay. All right, have a motion?
I make a motion for -3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
Great,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
appreciate it.
Your plants are out in the garden.
Jeez Louise.
Got 2 or 3 I need, yeah.
It's 42.
We can do this.
6:40.
So, Adams, Townsend, septic continued.
No. That project was presented by Greg at the last hearing.
Right.
It was continued because they did not have Board of Health approval, which they now have.
Right. So this was a
That's all we're waiting for.
system, like an innovative system. Remember we explained it had sort of a partial treatment?
Yeah, the air that blows in.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So everything was fine, except we didn't have the Board of Health.
Right.
So, make a motion to close?
Yeah, do we have orders for that? So we can also do orders tonight,
Yes,
okay?
we can.
Great, so motion to close, do I have a second?
Second.
Is anybody in the audience?
Can I just ask a question about it? I'm
Sure.
the future owner.
Yep,
Um,
and your name is?
Katie Lapadilla.
Okay.
And once you do the orders tonight and we can pick them up tomorrow, and then
Mhm.
we have to wait 10 days before it begins,
Well, there's an appeal period.
the 10-day appeal period.
Right.
And then, once the work is completed, do we need to come back for you to approve it? Or not, that's just the Board of Health needs to approve the plan?
The Board of Health would approve that. You should get a certificate of compliance from us
Okay.
when you're done.
When we're done?
Yeah, and it's better,
How long
get
does
it
that
done and
take?
get it out of the way. The bank, I mean, I don't think that's gonna hold anything up for you.
Closing?
I don't
But-
think so.
But you can't file that until the grass is grown, right?
Right. So typically, they don't fuss about that.
Typically, what we've done on that is they typically don't hold up the closing. Some attorneys will want something in writing from the commission saying that when the grass is growing, they don't see any problems.
Okay,
But it's really the Board of Health certificate of compliance that they look for.
okay, and that just takes a couple days? is
Right.
it? Okay.
I mean, sometimes houses are passed on and they just escrow the money too. I don't know whether that's, but typically, but just don't forget about the certificate of compliance, because oftentimes what happens is things move along. Then in a few years, you go to do something else or sell the house, and then it holds things up because it's not done. So it's something that you do want to get squared away as quick as you can.
Okay, so.
And your engineer can help you
Okay,
that, or the seller's engineer, but,
okay,
all right? Maybe you want to make that part of your condition, you know, that,
okay.
all right?
Did we vote?
Just need to vote.
We
So,
seconded, but I don't think we
all in
voted.
favor?
Aye.
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 Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Roach, 232 Central Ave.
So we can throw this in right now? Mark the deck.
Nobody here?
Anybody for Roach?
This was continued from the last meeting, and then we were supposed to send this new information. We haven't received anything. We haven't heard from them either.
We were waiting for deck plans and footings.
Yeah, it was
Well, it's been continued a number of legislation at work, how it's to be done. I mean, it was pretty vague.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, remember that?
Yep.
They were supposed to get us,
Deck
you know, a
plans and footings.
description of what they're doing, how
Right.
they're gonna do it,
Right.
and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Nothing when they.
They haven't done anything, have they, Liz?
Negatory. They haven't been doing
So-
anything.
Just wanna hang,
good.
get out for a while.
And there is also a discrepancy on it because on the plans that had said that it was a gravel driveway,
Yeah,
and that's not true, it's actually paved.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does, it's a.
Yeah.
Do we want to go out a ways, or we just want to move for a couple of weeks and see if we can reach them, and then doesn't,
And just, we can deny it after that.
who was the applicant? Was it the owner themselves?
It was Steinbeck and Taylor, I think.
Oh,
Brenda Roche is the owner.
yeah, wait a minute,
Stembeck and Taylor
yeah,
is the one that filed.
yeah.
I mean, it's just a pain to put them on every
Well, we
night.
can call them and say, you know, we've continued it for 2 weeks, you're gonna be coming or not, and then we can,
Well, it's just
Put it out a month.
holding a place.
Yeah.
actually. So we will continue it at this moment till October 16th. Oh, wait a minute, I thought we had to go the 17th. No, the 16th, all right, no, I'm confused with September. Never mind, to 6:30.
Continue to when?
October
6:30,
16th,
October
which is a
16th.
Wednesday, by the way.
October 16th,
Yeah.
6:30.
Is that our first meeting in?
Yes,
Yes,
because of the holiday that week.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay.
that's why I was getting confused.
What the hell holiday is that?
Somebody want to
Columbus
second
Day.
that, please?
Oh.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Anyway,
Banks, 165 Turner Road, Elevate.
What was he looking for, under the chair?
Right here?
Do you have Banks at 165?
I do.
On September 30th, 2013, at 6:45 PM, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Jeremy and Claire Banks to elevate an existing dwelling on property located at 165 Turner Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Yeah, I gotta do that with him.
Okay, thanks for waiting. For the record, Jeff Asser with Morse Engineering. And this is a notice of intent to raise an existing single-family dwelling in order to comply with the FEMA requirements. The property is 165 Turner Road. It's located right on the ocean on the seawall. And the owners, Jeremy and Claire Banks, are looking to take advantage of the FEMA grant. Currently, the flood zone is a velocity elevation 17, as well as an AO at 2-foot depth. On the current maps, on the draft preliminary maps, it's a velocity zone of elevation 19, so it's going up by 2 feet. We're proposing to put the first floor at elevation 24, so that the lowest horizontal structural number will be 2 feet above the velocity zone at least. And this house will be lifted in place, and they'll pour concrete piles and then lower it back down. As far as erosion, we are proposing an erosion barrier around the work. The seawall is also here, which is higher in grade, so that will stop any runoff to the ocean.
Do you have a foundation plan, Jeff?
I do. I submitted it as part of the notice of intent application.
That's it? I'm not sure that's it, I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you're gonna put this on pilings?
Yeah.
Concrete.
Concrete.
Concrete, no, I
Piers.
understand concrete, but it looks like it's a concrete wall, is that,
Yes, currently has it has a basement. All the utilities are up on the first floor. But that will be,
All right, yeah.
that will be crushed.
so the basement will be filled in?
Yeah, and I think the grade in the basement is a little bit lower than the grade around, so that will be filled just to match the grader.
Okay.
When you say a concrete wall, Penny, are you referring to the foundation wall?
Yeah. See, on the house?
Yeah, well, in order to do this, they'd lift the house up, knock the foundation in.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
he said there's a cellar, and I asked, is he gonna?
Well, it's
fill it?
all gone. It'll have to be excavated.
Yeah,
With the new,
that's all, I just,
for their new pool.
Well, by the time you dig out for all these footings and pour all that, there's nothing left in that basement.
yeah, okay.
We'll actually make it easier to do the footings.
Yeah.
So on hold there. We'll just be back on.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Hmm,
all right. The higher they go,
I guess.
One at a
what's
time.
in velocity, I mean, and I think FEMA does 100% in the velocity,
Mhm.
which is,
Okay, any comment,
no, I'm
Richard?
happy.
How is the deck gonna be handled?
Does it go to a seawall now, or?
That's what I was,
The deck will be lifted with it. The way they have the deck in the front set up is they actually take off the deck in the winter.
Yeah.
It's fastened with screws. You can see the joist in the ground and the hangers on the house itself. They
Right.
unscrew it and they pile it on the front deck. So right now it's off.
But what are they gonna do when,
They'll
this
pour.
really isn't part of the FEMA raising, right, Rosemary, the deck?
I'm not on, this is Laura's purview at this point, but my understanding is that decks are not included.
That's,
They can be-
yeah, that's what we
That's
decided.
what I was
last time, right?
asking.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
My understanding was the decks weren't included as far as the cost of the money that is given.
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but we're not supposed to mix them in to NOI. Laura said to keep it clean and simple for.
Well, no, they can file one NOI for the whole project.
All right,
I mean,
I'm just going by what was said at the last meeting, it doesn't matter to me.
Are we still
I'm
talking
happy
about
with
the
it, but-
access to seawall?
So
Right.
you're going to
So will this be on the seawall when it's done, Jeff? What's the elevation of the seawall?
14, so the deck will be well above the
Yeah.
seawall.
Are you looking at the pictures of the house, Frank, see if there's where the deck?
I know, but when the house goes up,
The house goes up,
Well,
the
that's
deck's
not-
gonna
I
be
am
up
not-
here.
Yes, so I'm just asking you the picture. So
But
it'll
I-
be on pilings.
I would disagree with Laura in that when people file an NOI, they file for everything that they want to do on the site. The FEMA piece, whether FEMA pays for the deck or not, but I wouldn't, if I were doing a project on my home, I'd want to do one filing
I would too.
for everything, and then let them
So
determine.
I guess we're asking, are you going to put the deck going up on pilings?
Yeah, so that's showed on the architectural plans. It will be raised with the house.
Getting back to what Penny said, we talked about that last time because they were getting rushed through and we only had like a week or two to look at them. We said, you know, we're looking at the FEMA elevation grant structure. We weren't really looking at the decks, but, you know, you're right, they can file for both, but, you know, they can't enlarge the deck or relocate the
Right.
deck. If
Right.
it's the same footprint that's going up.
Right.
We were okay with it, but.
Okay.
Could I
Anything else?
just well, I'm just wondering, you know, I understand you're gonna put the deck now up on pilings, because it has to be raised. Will it still be a removable deck, or it's not gonna be a removable deck? It'll be stationary all year long?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only removable now. It takes them, the owner was telling me it takes them all day to undo all the screws and put it
I
back together.
understand that.
It's like undoing the construction
I
of it.
understand that, but it's just, you know, the decks are the first use you'd go when a storm comes.
Yeah.
It gets lifted up.
I guess that would be up to them, just
Yeah.
if it's up higher,
At,
maybe they don't
at
need
this
to.
point, it is
4
up to
feet.
them, it's discretionary.
I don't know.
It's gonna be so far above the wall, the water's gonna go underneath it anyway.
Yeah.
Depends on how big the,
How
well,
big-
feet.
If there's a
That's a
velocity zone,
lot.
it could be lifted right into the house,
Okay.
but whatever, all right, so do we wanna? close
anybody else?
this?
Anybody in the audience?
What's the address of this property?
165.
Turner.
Okay.
I make the motion to close.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good.
All that together.
Barrett Trust, 17 7th Ave, rebuild after fire.
That one's gonna be me as well.
I just gotta find the, on September 30th, 2013, 6:55 PM, the Town Hall Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Situate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Flynn Realty Trust, Robert J. Barrett, trustee, to reconstruct a dwelling lost in a fire on property located at 17 7th Ave, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend.
Yeah, Jeff Hassett, Morse Engineering. This is one of the properties that burned down back in the blizzard of December 2010. If you went out here today, they're just the remains of the concrete piers or piles.
Same thing.
And the property itself is about 5,800 square feet in size. It slopes gently from the back at about almost elevation 10 to elevation 8.3 in the road. So the property is generally flat, but pitching to 7th Ave. It's located currently entirely within a FEMA AE elevation of 16, and that is not changing in the preliminary maps. The proposed work includes reconstructing a new single-family dwelling in the same general location as the one that burned down. There's the dwelling I've colored in gray here with the deck in brown, and they're also proposing to construct a pervious paver driveway and install a new utilities, water, sewer, electric. This will be constructed to comply with the FEMA regulations for construction within an AE zone. So first floor will be 2 feet above at elevation 18. And we are not proposing any grading changes here. It'll be on a foundation wall with the flood vents. And then we'll do a silt fence around the entire property during construction.
It goes here
Are you
to the
using
water.
the
This
same
floods every single year.
foundation that's there, or has that been knocked down?
Yeah.
No, I think that's, a mess, and it's a different type of foundation too.
Yeah,
It's going to be
so you're
foundation
gonna
wall.
eliminate that and put up a new foundation?
Yeah.
But it's basically the same
Mhm.
footprint?
Yeah, we don't have an actual
No, this is
plan
further
of what
up
was there before,
towards,
but based on where the piles are in an old ortho image.
further up
it's the
Hadley
same-
Road. The
same
baseball
general-
fields are way down the bottom. This would be at the other end.
Oh, I know what it is.
You have 10th, and then you have some roads
Yeah,
that don't
right,
go through.
yeah, right.
And then it starts up again at 7th. And there were
And
2
then-
houses that burned during,
That December
Was there
storm.
3 years ago.
2010?
yeah, which storm was
Yeah.
it?
It was that
3 years
December
ago.
storm, wasn't it? The one after?
It was right at
Christmas?
Christmas, just after
Yeah,
Christmas.
Yeah, the 27th, I think.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Forget if they ever named it. But there were the 2 houses that they couldn't get the power shut off, and they couldn't get the
Oh, God, they were
firemen
walking
were
through
dragging the
water.
hoses.
It was
with-
terrible.
yeah.
Thankfully, no one was.
But it's pretty much, it's a grass site. Any foundation plan for this one yet? Do you know?
No, not yet.
I think that's something that you should probably submit to us. We would want a foundation plan.
Okay.
Whether it's gonna be a poured foundation with breakout panels or,
Poured foundation, flood openings, and it'll just be a dirt floor at the slab, at the same elevation as the ground right now.
Everybody drives their cars up to
Richard?
the...
No questions.
Did you say FEMA wasn't changing?
No, not in
Is-
this area. On the new maps, they have it at elevation 16 as well.
Okay, that's amazing.
Nobody's.
Can't
figured
figure it out.
I mean, that's pretty high though.
it's
Yeah.
up there. I mean, that's,
Almost
you-
8 feet above.
Oh, I know, it is
Right.
high.
It's a lot of water.
Lisa? Any comments?
No.
Yeah.
So the pilings that are there now can't be reused then there?
No.
Because it's on pilings and it's gonna go to a foundation?
Yeah, the reason is he just wants to have some storage underneath. But that does comply. In an AE, you can't do that if you have the openings.
And it's tough to tell what the current driveway is in there now, it's all overgrown, is it, I mean, he's putting in impervious pavers, is it just gravel right now, or?
I'm not sure what it is, to be
I
honest.
can't even find it, yeah.
It's been a few years that
Yeah.
it's just sat.
Mm. Yeah, there's a bordering vegetated wetland across the street too, and you would
Yeah.
Right.
include
Yeah.
that.
I don't know, everybody prefers one. Right here.
Are you concerned, Pat? I mean, if they do an impervious paver driveway, does it, and they gotta have
mean,
some sort of driveway.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it were, less, impervious than it starts, but.
Here is the architectural plan. It's on the foundation plan, that would be a good idea.
No. Really doesn't do much for me.
No, not what you're looking for.
Nope. Not even for me.
Chris, that's what I have, just the first and second floor plan. I had the first and the second floor architectural plans.
I mean, you're gonna have to get a foundation plan that's approved by a structural engineer, obviously, to get your building permit.
Has Neil looked at it yet?
He's got the
Jeff, you could take that, have that back. What's in the back of the lot? Is it just grass to the back, do you know, or?
Chris,
Yeah,
knows?
it's just a flat lot right now.
And you're the owner?
Yes, with
Is
the
that Goldstein?
pilings from the original house. The pilings right now are too low to
Mhm.
be used.
Did you own the house before the fire?
No.
Okay. What's that?
But the new foundation basically is the same layout as the pilings, it's just
Right.
full concrete walls.
Yeah, no, it keeps the house warmer and it complies. I'd be my preference. I don't have any. Anybody in the audience? Yes, ma'am.
We live at 95 Oceanside Drive, and I think I've talked to the engineers, and I've talked to EPA. What we are concerned about.
And your name, ma'am?
Kathy Flynn Woodland, my husband John Woodland, and our property abuts 7th Ave property that you're building. And we've talked to the engineers, we've talked to EPA, and our concern, and we're so excited that somebody's moving there, actually cleaning up the property and is going to be there. Our concern is the foundation, because that is where the water comes into our property and all the adjacent properties. It comes in from 7th Avenue, comes down, comes in, that's the low point, and it comes in there before it comes in from the ocean side. We flooded significantly a number of times. This property floods significantly. We believe that it was on pilings for a reason, and our only concern is the foundation built. And we understand that in an AE zone, you can build with the flow-throughs, you can open them up and the water can come through. Our neighbors next door that live on 6th Avenue have the same build in the foundation, but they are up much higher in elevation than this property on 7th. They have also had significant flooding. We flooded almost to the top to where our living quarters are in the February storm and the March storm. And we have a solid foundation. And we are very concerned about the water pressure that comes in. We went through more than 6 tide cycles with water, and we're very concerned about the egress of the water as it comes into our property and the adjacent properties that are on 6th and on Oceanside. So our only concern is having an engineer really tell us that, look, having a solid foundation is not going to impinge on any of the water flow. Because when that water comes in, that's the direction it comes in from. The marsh is on the other side of 7th. And that's where the last place of the water goes out. And so it comes up against our foundation, and the foundations on Oceanside, and the foundations on 6th. So we just want to state that and ask if the engineering company or whoever's building this has taken a look at the level of flooding and the water pressure through that number of cycles of tide, and what that means, because the house that was there on pilings, I'm sure had a reason to be on pilings. And if we could go and rebuild our house at this point in time, we would probably put ours on pilings.
I think I can address that. It is known that this property floods severely, and we are not going to change the grading patterns. The drainage will still continue to flow in the same direction, whether it's overland this way or coming from the marsh the other way. The house, there are 2 options of how to build within the floodplain. You could put it up on pilings, or it is acceptable to put the full foundation wall. And there will be the breakaway vents. Under pressure, they will break away, and the owner won't want to keep anything valuable in there. But for that reason, the flow, it will not affect the flow.
Our house sits higher than that property, and we lost everything in our basement. There's nothing that we had in mind, but it flooded that severely in the February storm. So to have the solid foundation as the sense of storage is not practical for that piece of land. And we're talking only through our own experience, and I'm not an engineer, and I can't qualify that. All I know is that we don't want that to impact the other properties that surround it, because that is the water flow direction. That is exactly where it comes through and where it goes back down into the marsh.
Can I just, so Jeff, you're not adding any fill to the property?
No, we're not.
So it's not going to change the way the water flows? I mean, I understand what you're saying if they create a foundation, but the idea is that with the breakaway panels, once the water gets so high around that house, it just collapses them. So essentially the same volume of water.
I think that's all we're concerned, is that the flow of water doesn't get impeded by putting a solid foundation.
And, you know, I mean, I've been down there for a lot of these storms, and we've seen water come depending on how it's flowing, but usually it's coming over the seawall, and then it floods that basin into the Avs, and it backs up towards there, and then eventually flows away. If someone were building a home next to you and they were putting something that would divert the water onto your property, we'd have a concern for that. But I think in this case, I don't really see that, you know, if they were building up a lot of fill around their property to push it away onto yours, but the tiny amount of, say, the area of the foundation or something, compared to that whole basin, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I can't imagine it would change that level more than
We
some.
haven't seen the plan, so we don't know the footprint.
I can also add, there's gonna be parking under the house because this thing's up so high to begin with. So as the water rises, it's just gonna rise inside the foundation, if
Right.
that's where it wants to go. There's nothing that's gonna prevent it from going right in the foundation, filling the whole foundation up, if it gets to that height. So it's gonna be, you know, a big garage door and then breakaway panel, so it's gonna allow the
Right.
water in. It's not gonna divert it in any way, so it's just gonna go up and down with the tide.
Right.
No, I don't have
Asking
any
for a
questions.
foundation plan or not?
Well, I think we should have one on file. We should have a foundation plan on file, but I don't, and we're just gonna close it tonight, so before we issue the orders, we'll want a foundation plan.
Yeah, certainly, look at that, yeah.
I don't have any questions.
Penny?
No, I'm all set with it.
Good.
Lisa?
All set.
Yeah, I'll run it by Neil. We haven't seen any go from pilings to foundations. It's always the other way around. But, I mean, if it's allowed in an AE zone, then,
Right.
you know, I'll talk to him, see what he
I
recommends.
mean, when we say piles, I believe what this is sonotubes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what it probably was a house that was on wood piers that was lifted up some, and somebody poured sonotubes because of cost.
Mm.
And it wasn't done very well. I mean, I looked at both those sites, and they weren't done all that well. So I think to build, I'd be surprised if he give you a building permit to build back on those.
They wouldn't have poured a foundation because they only raised it up. The current sonotubes that they put in.
Right.
They did it in 1992, are about 4 or 5 feet high, so it wouldn't have made any sense to do a foundation. You wouldn't have been able to use it.
Right.
As a retrofit. The house was built in 1800 and change. So, but now, as it's gone, and it's going up that much higher, it only makes sense to pour a foundation, but it's not gonna restrict any water flow
I
whatsoever.
understand, yeah. And I guess my point is that if you take like the area of foundation of a bunch of sonotubes, or you take the area, that is so small that the amount of water that it displaces in that area is almost, I
Negligible,
don't know how
yeah.
you could even figure it out, so.
I think when that area is really flooding, I mean, it's ocean water coming in.
Right.
So it's pushing all the way back to the ocean at some
Right,
point.
but it's a huge basin
Right.
that impacts.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You'd
saying,
have
it's
to
a
be
big
putting
problem.
hundreds and hundreds of yards in there to see any kind of difference in the change of elevation, and that's not what they're proposing.
That's correct. The foundation walls won't displace any more water than a bunch of columns.
Well, it would, but you or I couldn't measure it, so.
Matter of fact, it could be less because there's rows and rows and rows of columns where you
Right.
just get one perimeter.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I don't believe it's gonna displace any extra water.
Right, okay.
I make a motion to close.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
But we would like a foundation.
Foundation plan.
Okay,
Okay.
I think we have one, I'll get it to you.
Okay,
Somewhere.
You do that.
great.
Yeah, I used to live on Marion Road. We were canoeing towards that.
Are we done?
Oh, we have lots of stuff.
Oh, we have lots of
You're right.
chatter.
Yeah.
Fern Property, does they want to continue this?
They're at 8, I think. They didn't call today, did they?
Didn't call me.
No, I think they're 8.
Oh, okay,
Because you made me schedule them at 8.
okay.
We're having trouble with this project getting scheduled. We were too early and now we may be
Well, we
too
can do
late.
all the other stuff
Although we have a
before,
lot of
can't we?
other stuff,
All right,
too.
so let's keep going.
All right.
So orders of conditions, you want to do that, or you want to do the correspondence or administrative, or
We
what do
could
you?
do the
Why
orders.
don't we just get the orders out of the way?
All right, so Banks, 165 Turner Road.
I make a motion to accept the orders as written.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then Adams, 59 Townsend Road, septic.
I make a motion to accept the orders as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Certificate of compliance, Walsh, 107 Border Street.
Yeah, we talked about, after that visit, we talked about, it wasn't done exactly according to the plan, but it didn't look like there'd be a lot of impact, but maybe we should get a planting or something out of that.
Yeah, something.
Because it was crushed stone where there should have been grass and this.
So you want a few bushes or something?
I don't know, I mean, we talked about that at the end. I mean, we're hoping that they do follow the plan, and it was a little bit different than the plan, but it's not a major impact.
Yeah. Who was out there?
A whole bunch
Oh,
of
we
them.
don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Bill,
Me.
You, me,
Lisa.
Lisa.
How could I forget that?
You, yeah.
No,
How could you forget me?
you guys almost walked home, that's right.
Right.
Honestly.
All right, do I have a recommendation? Do somebody want to make a
Well, I
recommendation?
think the concern was for the second house.
Right,
Well, I
right.
thought
Yeah.
the consensus was to give them the.
There's some crushed stone, I mean, I think the
Yeah,
fence
out
was
there.
required,
Yeah,
but there is some crushed stone that was placed where we thought it was gonna be grass.
yeah.
And his idea was that it was sort of slowing down water off the lawn or whatever.
And I believe you mentioned to him, next time, ask
Right.
first.
Yes.
And
So,
we'll see if
and I
he
think
does.
there was a deck that was just a touch
There was
bigger
about
than.
Foot or two, yeah.
It wasn't that
Right.
much.
Right.
So, I don't know, do you want,
So I say give him these things.
with a few plantings?
It's up to you.
I think it's a
I
good
think that's
idea
appropriate.
because
Yeah.
the
Ask him to plant some.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
He's coming in again for another project too, isn't he?
well, that's pretty much the
There you
point,
go,
yeah.
All right, well, why don't you work with him and say we
Okay.
we'd like to see, depending on the size and what he proposes, but 2 or 3 plantings
Okay.
that would be beneficial to that habitat.
Okay.
Be good.
Looked nice down by that bench.
All right?
Talk about plantings, did anybody else go by 73 Kent Street?
No.
See the teacup juniper she planted on the side of the driveway that you and I went down to, where they
No.
put all the fill? Good luck.
Has it all been seeded and everything?
She didn't seed, she planted a couple of clumps of grass. It's for sale, by the way, as soon as they did the plantings, 1,000 on the market. And on the edge of the driveway, the slope, I'm not kidding you, the teacup size, I call them, junipers she planted. And that's good, I don't know if they'll make it through the winter, and I think she wanted us to sign off now, but I believe Pat told her, it's gotta be at least a year, if not 2, of growing before we're gonna sign off on
Right.
this.
We could do a partial, I mean, if she's going to do a closing, we could certainly write a
Well, she
letter
hasn't
saying.
sowed it yet, I mean,
Right.
it just went on the
But
market.
my concern was that they plant some, I mean, they had a lot of raw dirt, even scraped it back, and that they should have been planting some
Some mix.
rye or something to stabilize that. So, I mean, if they had a bad storm, all that would just silt into the marsh.
Right, because they did plant out front where the gravel driveway is, but, did we give them anything in particular to plant back there? I don't know if we did.
I don't think so, but, I mean, they had to, they spread all that earth
Right.
over grass,
Yeah.
and then they scraped it all back, but it still left a fair amount of,
This weed started growing, and like I said, they planted a couple of clumps of some sort of tall grass, but they
Yeah.
they didn't plant the whole.
you have an email address for them, right?
Yep, yep.
Why don't you just let them know that they should be planting something to stabilize that, and they should do it in the next week or 2. Like this week,
Just throw something down, because it'll take it
even
this time of the
a
year.
ryegrass or something that
Yeah.
would just stabilize that till,
Okay.
They left up the silt fence, and that's good if they just leave that, I would say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Enforcement's 87 Maple Street.
So I walked it with town council the other day, and there's 3 different things going on. We got a plan today from Brad Holmes. Greg's looking at some stormwater corrections, and Brad Holmes sent a planting plan out there. And we have to review this and see if it makes sense. The thing is, we don't even know how much of the wetland was disturbed because it was all filled, and there's a big pile of dirt out there. So we don't have the exact dimensions of it. And the town administrator is thinking that when town land was, all the trees were removed, that's more than just a replanting plan. There should be some kind of a fine involved with that. So I think town council's gonna be contacting their attorney, Adam Brodsky, and, discussing things beyond wetland restoration.
They haven't started to remove anything, right? They're waiting for us to.
Yeah, they put up, erosion control, they're gonna start scraping off the asphalt gravel. They have told us they were gonna start doing that, and they had equipment out there, so all the asphalt gravel's coming out, so that's a good start.
Where are they taking that?
Someplace legal, not back down the harbor or anyplace, but,
We hope.
And so I think Jim Toomey's gonna be talking again with Tricia and with Neil because of the zoning issue. Neil wasn't able to make the meeting, but, it's a zoning issue if you're putting something out there that's non-residential.
So should we have you reviewed this? Is this something that?
Just got it today,
Yeah.
Okay.
so.
So will they file? Will they be
Oh,
filed?
they'd have to file, yeah, so far, he just wanted to see if the plan looked reasonable, but I think we have to wait to find out what legal counsel's recommending, because the area of planting of the trees where it was town-owned property, they may not wanna have small bushes and saplings, they may wanna have large trees or fine plus trees. So I told Brad that, we'd look at the plan and I'd give him a call, and he'd be hearing from town council.
What are they proposing to put back in all that area that they cleared? They're just gonna make it grass?
That,
It's at sea.
yeah, that's what they're saying, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think that's gonna need to be more than that. Even under stormwater bylaw, you clear, over an acre of
Yeah, do we
trees.
know were there big trees there? I mean.
Yeah, well, that was the other.
Google back, find
Yeah, that
out.
was the other thing we do need to do. We need to Google back, because if it's the same as what was out there, there were full mature trees, all in that.
Yeah, well, that's what we don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But this kinda shows that the disturbance on town property is at the rear beyond the.
Yeah, as you drive into the property, it's as far as you can go.
I guess I was under the impression that it was more, when we went down there, it was more to the right, but.
That's where the wetland disturbance is. That is still on their property, but it was a wetland filling.
Okay.
And the wetland that's there is off their property. The wetland they filled is the one that was on their property.
So the town property's at the rear. See,
Yeah.
I thought the same thing as you, Frank, that it was because of the stone wall. The guy thought it was his property, but we thought at that time it was
It
ours.
veers off a little bit on the back right, but it's mostly dead straight back. It's kind of a
Oh.
pie-shaped piece, but it's pretty good size. I think it's
Yeah.
2,000 square feet, maybe, something like that.
So they're asking you to weigh in on this to just see if it's.
Yeah, this is a piece of what they're gonna have to do. And Brad Holmes, I told him that, we could meet him out there and at least do some measurements from where he flagged the wetland on the back left area, and then how he came to determine what was filled on the right side. So that would be another thing the old Google Maps might show, but
Do we know what the ultimate plan is for this area? I mean, is it just to,
well, for us, it's gonna have to be replication of wetlands.
Yeah.
And, for the town disturbed property, it's probably gonna be some type of tree planting plan. But for the rest of it,
for the owner, what's his ultimate goal with that property?
it might be, forget about your original
Yeah,
plans,
yeah, right.
yeah.
Sell
Okay.
the house and let somebody
Yeah.
live down.
You'd have to go to zoning to do anything commercial out there. so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe they're gonna keep sheep instead of boats out there.
That would be his
Maybe.
best idea. That would be,
maybe, you
A
never
couple
know.
horses right down the street,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
so if anybody wants to go out when I meet with Brad,
Yeah, I'd
I'll
be
set it
curious.
up and I'll let people know.
I'd like to do that if you could.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So we're not doing-
And vinyl,
Okay, on Anvil, we sent out the 2 tickets, and one of them was paid. The Gardner Road ticket was paid, but the Anvinal ticket was not paid. So then the next step is to give it to the police to deliver to the person to pay. And with,
is somebody trying to do some perk tests at Gardner Road?
yes,
I
yes.
I'd heard from
was that what that?
Greg Morse. Did he talk to you?
Yeah, he did.
Is that same property?
Same property. So this is another one that I visited with town council last Thursday. And when we were there, the property owner, Mr. Ayer, was there also, and he was breaking over an area that had been perked. It was in Upland, but it's on the same lot that we've, had enforcement on. So we had a short discussion, and we said that town council is gonna be calling your attorney, and don't even think about doing anything else out here. So nothing's
Was he in a
been
buffer
filed.
area?
Yeah, he's in a buffer. He's probably, well, in the probably 50 to 100. But
Has that ever been delineated?
it's never been filed with us. They've done
I
flagging,
mean, so
but
much
they
was
haven't
disturbed, it
filed.
would be really, almost have to do like a forensic.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's been filled. You gotta drag out
No,
the
no,
fill.
that is serious.
Yeah, I know,
There's
they'd
a-
have to-
There's a way to try to determine where the wetlands line
Where it
was.
actually is.
If it was really disturbed, there's ways to try to figure out.
That was what we
Approximately.
asked him originally to do when he was clearing. We said, you have to get this delineated, and
Yeah,
to
that was
this
about a
day,
year
we have
ago,
never
yeah.
gotten, there's flags out there, but he has never done. It was, wasn't it more than a year now?
I don't remember.
I don't know, time just goes. It's kind of ridiculous that it just keeps going on and on.
Yeah,
What does
although-
town council wanna do?
He's gonna talk to their attorney, and Mr. Ayer said that he thought something had been filed with us, and I said, we haven't seen any plans, we haven't seen any filing, we haven't scheduled any hearings, so. It ended kinda quickly, and we went on our way. Jim Toomey's writing a letter.
So he thinks he paid you $50 and he can just go do what he
No,
wants now?
no, he said,
One $50 payment.
he said he paid the 50 so he wouldn't get tasered out in his yard, so. So that was his quote. So we said, good, you saved yourself a tasing, that's.
Jeez.
That's fine.
That's kind of pathetic. $50 and this has been going on.
That's just, it's a way to get somebody's attention, it's like,
Yeah,
it's
I
going through a legal process, so. So now it goes to the town attorney, and then we say, you've got enforcement order, you have to file, and what are you waiting for? So,
All right. Well, I do think that they're gonna drag their heels on that, but it's the best you can do.
yeah.
Okay.
So then with Ian Vinyl, we'll give it to the police to bring out. I mean, with her, we were talking about, let's go out and talk about what area has been disturbed, drag some stuff out. Nothing's built out there, it's just leave this area alone, don't put your junk in there. She doesn't even wanna talk, so we have to go this ticket route to get our foot in the door.
Lord have mercy on us.
I don't think that has anything to do with it. 136 Indian Trail?
36 Indian Trail, okay. We talked about a cease and desist. I haven't gotten out there, but the day we were doing that, Rick Grady sent in a plan. I'm gonna have to get this. And it's not a real detailed plan. It shows
Yeah, Frank, this is from
slopes. Do you have it? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so it doesn't have a lot of detail on there, and we need a full-size sheet to see the size of the house compared to the plan that was submitted, and it shows elevations on there, but it doesn't show that they're as-built elevations. For all we know, those are just the original elevations of the original slope of the land. So this wasn't entirely useful.
And every day, they're out there building away, this contract.
They've been out there,
They're out
yeah.
there.
Are they doing site work or are they working on the house?
They're working on the house, but there is a piece of equipment out back, behind the house.
We have a cease and desist, and they're still working
No,
on
we
it.
don't.
We
Oh.
talked about that, and I could have done it that day, and then Rick sent the plan, and I said, well, look at the plan, and then we're meeting tonight, but I get caught in this whole FEMA thing the last 4 days, I haven't, but I'd be glad to go out and do a cease and desist tomorrow. And just say, look, stop until we can get some information.
Right.
That sounds like a good idea.
I'm around tomorrow if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad
Back up.
thing is, like
My
I
taser.
said,
Taser. Yeah, right.
Frank, I'm just really concerned that how sheer that is out there.
It's a huge pile right
Yeah.
in back of the neighbors that needs to be
I
addressed.
went out there and I got nervous getting near the edge,
Well,
you know.
I didn't get nervous, but it's pretty,
Well, I wouldn't want to fall down it, it's pretty sheer.
well, I just walked at the bottom of it.
Good.
Oh, you were down the bottom, I was up top looking down.
What are you gonna do, jump him?
I was checking it, I was thinking.
And, I mean, we really need the
For Henry down
corrective,
below.
we need the corrective plan more than.
I think, though, that in honesty, you should go there with Pat, or with, you know, let the owners know that you're coming. And when I looked at it,
Yeah.
I was called by the neighbor, and I went on the
Yeah.
neighbor's property and looked up at it. And I think it's a good idea.
I know. When I was out there, okay, I'll go out with you, Pat, too, because when you're facing the house from Indian Trail on the left-hand side, in the back there, after the retention wall stops, the stone wall they built, there's a big hose coming out, you know, plastic black, that accordion type. I don't know where that's coming from.
Onto the abutters property down
Well,
below?
it's shooting that way.
I can't remember whether the stormwater piece was in effect when we conditioned that.
Yes, it was, because they came back, because he changed from the original house.
So he could, I mean, it's the stormwater that more than likely he's in
Right.
violation on.
Right.
But it would be curious to see whether or not they got the stuff in effect for anything that's with the wetlands piece as well, you know?
Yeah.
They're not complying with it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the commission looked at the stormwater piece. Was there an independent person reviewing it for, an engineer for the commission? Probably wasn't if it was a single-family home in Upland.
Right.
And then the as-built, though, I would recommend that, you know, Rick Grady submit something, but I think we need to have someone, an engineer, review that when it
Yeah.
comes in. I mean, there won't be any as-built based on us comparing two
But
plans.
I
This
don't
is
think
very
it's a
different.
bad thing, you know, just say you gotta, there's no site work until we have, I don't know whether you can stop the building piece of it if they're working on the structure, but certainly can stop any site work or anything. I don't know, maybe you can stop the
Yeah,
whole thing.
I'm gonna run it by Neil, because they do the cease and desist on the construction project, but.
Okay.
I just want to make this point. July 22nd was when he sat here with Mr. Grady and we asked them for, you know, so it's been, they've had plenty of time to get
Right,
an as-built
right.
proper plan into us,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I think they realize that it's very different from what the approved plan is, and they're thinking, what do we do now? And
So
so,
they're jerking us around.
I mean,
Steve?
Is that the house where they put all the stormwater underneath the basement slab?
Yes,
I think so.
yes.
that's
And
probably
underneath the
explains,
driveway.
explains the black hose.
Well, this is the one,
It's supposed to go from under the foundation into a rain garden, if I remember.
right,
That was on
That's
that's
what
what,
it's-
that's what the email notes say here,
All
the rain
holding-
garden.
All the holding of the water is supposed to happen in the basement. Overflow is
It's
supposed
right
to go
on
into
the
the
property
rain garden.
line. I'll
Right.
show you that.
Yeah, back left.
If you say so, yeah. And, it shouldn't be shooting to the neighbor.
I think the rain garden was in the front of the property.
It is.
Wasn't near the
Front
driveway?
corner.
Yeah.
But the septic is,
Septic's up front, too.
that's what I'm saying, I don't remember the whole gist of that. And then there's also a septic system that should be on the left.
Front left, it's
Front
in,
left,
yeah.
Right.
The rain garden was on the front right of the driveway, I believe.
I can't remember.
And we came in and changed the whole plan. The original plan, we did one plan with Sion. Okay, then this guy bought it, and he was enlarging and doing different things. He came in and got an amendment with another plan. And he did do some switching around, but they did do the stormwater. All that stuff for the revised plan. But.
The
now-
garage was originally under the house. The footprint was different, and now the garage is.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know, but they're definitely, I'll show you where that, it needs to be going towards the neighbor.
Okay, so there's 4 that are still problems. We've changed the name on the lot across from Lisa. It's now called Lot 31A Central Ave. We don't use her address anymore because she's not a property owner on that, so. So this is, there was a letter, but there hasn't been the violation letter yet. So that, again, should have been done last week, and it hasn't been. That'll get
I
done.
don't know what's tying you up with all these FEMA maps, what's the big deal?
Are you done with that now?
Today, it went into, I was just telling Rosemary, it's in the mail to the
This is
feds.
the one that's
so.
got the,
But there's gonna be an appeal,
the dock.
by the town, it appears, so,
All the houses on there.
Really?
yeah. There's, a consultant has found some things that could be questioned, so they're moving forward with an appeal letter. It looks, I don't know if there's been a vote by the selectmen or how they're gonna do it, but the consultant found some things that they're saying it's maybe worth another look, so. So, 31 Candlewood, there's been a lot of back and forth with Paul Shea and with the property owner, and the two things left, we need to go out and just do a measurement and locate places where he needs to put in permanent no disturb beyond this point posts. And the other part of it is, he's planted the wetland, and there's a couple of areas of phragmites that are small now that are gonna take over this whole marsh if it's not controlled. So I don't know, I know this guy's in that industry, but I don't know if he's the one we wanna have overseeing this piece.
Could I make a comment? When they were out there, Paul Shea called me, and told me that the pear trees, yes, they are in the 50-foot buffer. He was going by the plan that we never accepted, but it was the only planting plan ever there. But when he was up there, he said it's up to the commission to vote. You could make them take them out, but instead of taking those 3 rows out, and he knows he can't plant anymore, he is willing to plant, if you're facing the hill, the people on Tilden Road, he's willing to do extra planting in the buffer to the right there. He's also willing to, what his plan was, to go out there where the phragmite clumps are, where the sections are, and this time of the year, bag the buds, which have the seed pods in them, cut them, take them to be destroyed. Go back next year and get rid of the stalks. This time of the year is the best time to cut before it goes to seed. And Mr. Kamen was willing to do that, or offered to do that, put the post in. And he does have the wood posts, but we need permanent. And Paul thought it would be good to do the permanent at the end of the wetlands, but either way, to put some permanent stuff in there. And also what he had done is, when he did restore the wetlands, which the man must be given credit, when he does something, he does do it right, because the wetlands out there are gorgeous now. And he did make it a little larger in areas. So that's why Paul said maybe you might want to vote to let him keep those 3 rows only of the pear trees, and then from there mark off where he can't go anymore. But what he does do well. It's just he gets carried away. And he thought it would be a good suggestion for the whole commission to go out there and see what a restored wetlands looks like.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, there's gotta be some black and white somewhere saying which plan is the approved plan.
There never was one. We never got resubmitted one.
So then the original order is what?
What happened was that he submitted that planting plan that we have, okay? And we didn't like it. So it was told to him to submit another one. That's when Brad Holmes left the picture, so he did not have a wetlands person anymore. And then they kind of just started to work with Mr. Kamen, Paul Shea, and Jim to get this done. All right, so there really was not an approved plan that we have. The one we have in the file is the only one that there is, and it's not the approved plan.
We should probably read through it and take a vote, and just to so that we know what we've approved in the end and what the measurements are, and I think the phragmites has to be controlled more than cutting off the seed heads too. I think he really needs to get at the roots, because this whole thing will go.
What he's saying is, this is the time of the year, though.
To do that piece of it,
And
right.
come back in the fall and in the spring and address the roots then.
Yeah, I would think there probably should be a condition that if he doesn't get it under control, he needs to get somebody that's professional and able to do this.
This
'Cause-
man really is able to do it, he just loses his way every so often.
Well, we just looked at the
Oh, that's probably old.
picture, and what we just saw is 7 rows of trees. It's a lot of rows.
No, there's 3 new, those are out of the buffer if I
It's an older picture.
Yeah, it's gotta be older, yeah.
Okay.
No, I think Pat's on the right, I mean, we
Yeah.
have to really verify some of this.
Yeah.
It has been a long,
Right, I know we'd like to.
arduous thing, and I'm
Right.
glad that he's gotten the thing as far as he
Right.
has. Obviously, the neighbors are still have issues about what happens, because the activity that's right in their backyard is probably in uplands. So if he's got a bobcat, he's moving stuff around, it's right in their backyard.
And then they bring up the fact that it is in the buffer, and it is, so I was hoping to find something in black and white saying, well, it's okay if you disturb the first 15 feet of buffer because you're gonna be doing all this replication, but you don't think there's anything in there, so we should,
There really isn't. What he wanted to do on that plan was he was gonna replicate the buffer, then have a 25-foot buffer, then the other 25 he was going to plant in. And at that point in time, we said, no way, Jose, we want the whole 50-foot buffer replanted, which he hasn't completed yet. That's, Paul said, I've been
Right,
going
right.
steps with him. I got the wetlands replicated, now we're gonna work on the buffer. Yes, those 3 rows over on the right there at the base of the hill from the house up above, those are new. And Paul said, you can vote if you want to make him take them out, or you can let him keep those and get some more planting of the buffer off to the right, which he really doesn't have to do. So it's kind of, you know, I understand the neighbors, I'd be very upset with, because he does so much of this work late in the evening. It's not late, because I think there is a time frame.
So where
that
are
he
we?
has to stop.
What
Yeah.
are we doing?
well, I definitely think we need to say, here's the drop deadline, you can't do anything past here.
Definitely.
And here's an area you have to plant, and then here's an area that we're gonna measure and get back to you about.
Let's
and
go this
then-
week. Let
And
me
I'll
know.
look through to see if there's something that we could vote on as a revised plan that we have as a record, and that he can go get a certificate of compliance at the end.
And I'd like to see
It's
that
very-
restored wetland thing too when you go, so.
Yeah, and the phragmites piece, I think, it's like, we'll give you a shot at this, but if it doesn't work, we don't want, it's 5 acres of area that'll get taken over out there, and right now it looked pretty good, but may not.
If you had seen what he did to that, it is gorgeous.
Yeah, no, I believe you.
He
But I
said-
think his, Pat's, warning is, well, frags can take off
Oh, yes, they
in an
did.
area that's
Yeah.
been disturbed pretty easily, so.
Right.
But if anybody wants to do the measurement, so that, because I told him, I said, we're gonna measure and we're gonna put our stakes in the ground, not your stakes in the ground,
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
was moving them while we were out there.
Oh, I'm
I mean, the
sure he
stake-
was.
I'm like, what are the stakes? Well, how official are the measurements?
If you look at it
Well,
from
let's
this way.
make a date, and a bunch of us will go out, and we'll take the
Yeah.
tape measure out and
Yeah.
show him exactly what he can and can't do.
Right, and we give him credit for some of the stuff that was successful, but he's got more to do,
Hey,
Okay.
listen,
yeah.
All right.
And no more fires.
no more fires. Lord.
111 Summer Street,
111 and 6, we went out, they both need letters. I think I said that last. But this was, they're up against a wetland, the Summer Street one, with some tree brush clearing.
right.
And then 6 is clearing the
along that trail.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I haven't walked, have you seen it from the street?
I haven't
Pretty
walked,
grown in.
I should walk in, I just didn't get a chance to, but you can see from the street where they took they cleaned out a bunch of trees and stuff, and
Yeah.
they just dumped it.
Yep,
And
he
we,
said it would all be gone,
yeah, so I think it's something you
Yeah.
should send a letter to
Yeah.
both of them.
follow-up letter, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there was one other.
I mean, both of the places I've just ridden by from the street, and you can see a disturbance, and
Yeah.
I just don't know how close that one is at number 6. I mean, the one at 111 is pretty obvious that it
Yeah.
must be right along the edge of a wetlands.
Yeah, I've been out there twice and knocked on the doors, I haven't found anybody yet, so I just throw the letter out
I think
there.
it's someone renting there,
Oh, okay.
and the
'cause
owner
it's
lives
two- Okay, yeah.
somewhere else, so.
Okay, there was one other, it's kind of an update, it's informal, that Lisa found out on Central Ave, and it was a paving project that got stopped in its tracks, and it's a paving company that has yet to come in here, has yet to file with us, and yet they're,
Well, we've had them, they've come, and I think we've spoken to them before about,
in 9 months they haven't been in here, so,
Wow.
but I talked to him the other day, and he said, what would you like us to do? And I said, well, there'll definitely have to be a filing, and, you know.
right.
But,
McDonough paving.
It was, we did a cease and desist, and he stopped, he had taken up the old pavement, and then it's taped off. And
I mean, I spoke briefly to the owner, he called upset,
Yeah,
couldn't
yes.
figure out what was happening, and he had a filing for other work,
Right.
but not for the driveway, you know, and then was asking about the emergency orders, and I said, well, those ended in, what, March or something?
Yeah, they weren't for paving either.
Right, right.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and then there was a follow-up on a fairly lengthy email today.
Yeah.
Um,
What I'll do is, I got the email, I haven't gone through the file, I'll go through the file first, in case it said, as part of your project, you
Yeah.
can pave, you know, I'll look through, but he seemed like,
I think he's upset that.
innocent mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that, I think he's embarrassed or at least concerned that he
Right.
didn't do the right thing and would like to do the right thing there, so.
Right, exactly, that's what I get.
I don't
the
think it's a
impression.
hard chase, but I do know that the paving company, there was an
Glorious.
issue down on,
McDonough.
I think the last one that we might have, they came before us was on Border Street. You know, and they're well aware that when they're
Yeah.
in Humrock, that they need
Right.
orders or some kind of DEP number, or, you know, maybe there's a DEP number up on the house because of the work that's being done on the other side, but.
One that's been passed around down there, I think, that people are hanging on their houses.
Generic.
One of Lisa's neighbors has one with a number missing.
Yep.
You know, it's strange. And then 214 Oceanside, that was the one that we went out to, that has 90 feet of driveway now, 90 by 20 of asphalt, and they want to repave it. And we talked about trying to get, can you reduce it by a third? Can you put pervious pavers
Right
in?
on the beach.
It
Where's
really-
this?
Way down on Ocean.
Way down the
Side,
end.
ocean front.
Oh, yeah, way
what-
down.
What's the number?
Remember we,
214. Bill and I and Lisa. and-
I was there,
yeah,
too.
yeah, he was there too. Rich was there.
It's way down, and it's an old asphalt driveway that's all cracked, and they wanna replace it exactly the way that, you know, same
But
location. But it's a lot of
The
pavement.
paved space itself is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's a basketball court.
And they're not real happy about the, let's make a deal and try to, you know, give us less pavement, can we give, you know, some
Well, they have to
pervious?
file to dig it up and
Right,
repave it,
right.
so.
But it's one of those, in black and white, we don't have, like, you can't replace what you have, you know? I mean,
Mhm.
we can ask, it seems, but we can't really say, no, you can't, I don't know. I mean, we may need to tighten up wording in the regs on, you know,
Okay.
But they
But,
need to at least file.
yeah. It's old, I mean, so it hasn't really broken away, and it's probably 50 years old, I would guess. So in
Okay.
some ways, it's fairly protected by the house, but, so we'll have them file, and then we can, in the
Yeah, it's
meantime, try to coax them
A lot of
into.
asphalt.
Okay.
It would be a tough spot for gravel, though, because of the slope. But, pavers would work, so.
Okay. Yeah, on administrative pieces, you had 181 Edward Foster Road, a pond.
Yes, this was the house we went out to.
Right.
It talked about the plants that they planted were failing because they were getting drowned out there.
Right.
So they wanted to do a pond, and, oh, Carol, did they submit a sketch plan on that one, on the 181?
I think the last name is White.
It is White.
If you, almost at the end of Edward Foster, beyond the
I don't either.
Coast Guard Station,
They
the driveway
called, I
that's
think.
set back, and they have a huge wetland, then it goes to a little shingle beach and then into the harbor.
That.
In fact, the filing that Maribito did for the things on Henry Way are like right in the
Yeah,
backyard.
it's about a-
So, but when Pat and I went out there, it's very obvious, they've tried to do this reclamation, and they're just, a lot of stuff is just dead. You know, they either the wrong type of plant or bad situation. So they were talking and saying, you know, what's the feasibility of building a small pond?
Yeah, right now it's a grass, lawn with water in it. Yeah.
So,
10 dead blueberry bushes there.
but I would think that they would have to file,
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah, they would. And, I think it's probably better than what's there, so if we, but they emailed and we haven't talked to them, and I don't think they did send in anything, or I don't have anything. But when we were out there, they talked to us about it, so maybe we either have them do a sketch plan for us and, see what we think, and
Okay.
I'm sure DEP would be okay with that.
What I put on the correspondence list was proposal for a small pond with plantings, also list of plants enclosed. But I might have put it with the file, because it's not in the correspondence.
Why don't you take a look and see if you think it's something that they can, you think it's maybe a permissible activity,
Yeah.
and then either encourage them or discourage them from
Yeah,
doing
you
it.
definitely have to file a notice of intent,
Right.
and, butters would have some comments there, is that a mosquito pond, or is that a,
Right.
White one,
yeah,
the salt water will be in it.
yep.
Okay. Do you have anything else? What's the seawall bylaw?
Seawall bylaw, Dave Ball submitted something to us, they're gonna be on I think they're gonna be on the fall town meeting agenda didn't make it, or?
I'm still confused.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever ask Kevin?
Kevin Caffrey?
Yeah, because he was the one that brought that thing over to you, and
Yeah, I was.
that
Dave
was,
Ball
it
didn't
was
have a
about,
copy.
Oh, I thought it was from Dave, it was from Kevin?
it was Kevin brought it over to
Okay.
your office, and
Okay.
it's old stuff that Dave had collected, from years ago. There's one, piece from our minutes on Dartmouth, it was a Dartmouth, who was that lady?
It was
That I had to
Dartmouth.
remind to take her deck up.
28 Dartmouth.
28 Dartmouth, and it was just a bunch of info, like, I think there's a misunderstanding there.
Rosemary, do you know anything about this?
Because Dave definitely, when he was here, he was talking this winter getting together for bylaw change. And I think Kevin just saw that and brought it
Oh,
over, so
okay.
you misunderstood
Okay,
where it was
that could
coming
be it.
from. Yeah, it wasn't from Dave.
And it's too soon to really have it studied before the fall town meeting, I would think.
That's, yeah, no,
Right.
there's no time to get together, because we'd have to go before the bylaw review committee, don't we?
I'm
You
not
would,
sure.
don't
Well,
think.
I don't know.
But when Dave came, we said we'd be glad to look at it, so
Yeah,
maybe
that would
we,
help them out with it.
Yeah,
Yep.
the stuff that Kevin brought over was just a mishmash.
and he's on the
Nothing.
committee representing the town, and Dave is the chair, or?
I don't really know.
Kevin headed it up.
I just happened
Oh,
to be
okay.
there.
I think he's the chair.
Oh, he is? Okay. All right. Need more information on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Winter. I think first of the year.
Guys have the minutes?
Is that a zoning bylaw change?
Well, when
And-
Dave was in here, I don't know if you were at the meeting, but
Right.
we're looking
Take
for
2
the
minutes.
decks not to be on the seawall to give the space, but in order to do that, to enforce it, we'd have to do a zoning bylaw.
The only reason I made the comment is
Yeah.
you said you do it in January, but usually if it's something that's gotta go to the planning board, they try to do it by December. So if you hit December for a date, you might have enough.
I think, why don't we do this?
Dave's driving it,
Can-
right?
Let's see what they want to do. I think there's more than a couple of members on our commission that wouldn't mind participating in some of that. I think we know what's going on. Maybe we can get a liaison or something onto that can get back to us. I think would be the right thing to do.
We
Okay.
need to ask Dave, but I think Dave was gonna get in touch with us.
You're not on that,
No, not yet.
You deal with your pawn.
No, you're gonna take care of that for me.
Yeah.
You-
What was the date?
October 23rd.
Where?
Al didn't say where yet.
Okay.
He just was sending out to see if.
Oh, this is Hunter's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
There was no
public meeting.
time, I don't think.
there's nothing. He just
Okay.
wanted to make sure everybody had the date open.
Okay. Two quick things. Just, you got an email from Lisa on the CRs.
Yeah.
Can we find a time? Have you got some time
Yep.
this week to do that?
Yep. What's good for you?
I won't be around much on Friday to do that, so
Wednesdays,
Wednesday would be okay.
after, anytime after 11.
Well, let's, wanna say 11 or 11:30? See
Okay,
what-
and.
Well, we have to
get
get,
Lisa?
actually, you know what, I gotta get a hold of John Bullman, so I'll try that tomorrow and see.
I'll leave open after 11 until whenever.
Would it be at all possible to do it first thing on a morning, before he heads to work
Yeah, we have a staff meeting at 9:30, but I could do it at 8:30.
on Wednesday? Let's try for that, because John works like in Canton or something, so
Okay.
if he could do it before he leaves might be helpful.
Or at the end of the day.
Okay. All right, why don't he'll be the toughest one to pin down, so,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
And then, I'll kind of work at that with Lisa and see if we can either do it first thing or,
Yeah, I think we all have to sit down.
Okay.
Because this is all over the place.
yep, well, it's not that complicated, it just means getting everybody
Yeah.
together. Maybe we'll let the two attorneys pick a time, and then the rest of us can just,
You also wanted to talk about.
Bill had a
Oh,
ZBA.
yes, yeah.
Well, real quickly, I went to the zoning board meeting last Thursday, and they voted to allow the cell tower on, well, they allowed the variance for the cell tower at 361 Tilden. But my understanding is that at the town meeting, there is going to be a proposal on there for Niles Terrace, to have Niles Terrace as a possible site for a cell tower, or asking the town to issue a RFP for a cell tower at Niles Terrace. So, on the assumption that that is gonna be in front of the town, I was just thinking that maybe one of us or somebody should go down and take a look at that area and at least be familiar with it because the question's gonna come up eventually, so we
Who's
need-
Niles Terrace?
Yeah, where is it? I never heard of it.
Yeah, I was out there and I can't think, it's off of another street. It's a fairly new
Yeah,
street
and
off of another
Off
street.
of Kimberly? Is it
It
in-
might be that one, no, not Kimberly.
It's already got,
What's the
it's
one
already
John
got,
Tedeschi's had off a guy's driveway? Is that Niles down there?
goes up a hill, and then there's cell towers up in behind it.
Really?
We'll find it.
I have no idea.
Well, it definitely exists, because some of the neighbors were at the zoning board meeting.
Is this a citizens article for
Yes,
town meeting?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they said they were gonna put it on there. I don't know if it made it or not, but I'm just suggesting that we at least find out where it is.
Okay.
I did, and didn't come up.
Yeah, it's a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura will know where it is.
Okay. Anybody with anything else? Because it's just about 8 o'clock.
There was one quick thing that we had talked about briefly was, when town becomes available as open space, how do we wanna, there were 3 different options on a recent project that we talked about. And, the preference you were saying is to have the Conservation Commission have control of the land rather than a homeowner association, or rather than private.
If it's a small pocket that has no other real value, it really wouldn't matter to me if it was the homeowners association. You know, somebody came in.
It's gonna be kept open and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as part of a condo project. But in the case of, I think the question was with this 214 Clark
Yeah.
Road. And my personal preference, and everybody can weigh in, is that it's contiguous with all that Litchfield Bates Pipes
If you have
property.
a trail connectivity,
Right.
then.
And it
you'd
just
want to-
seems like if it remained in the association, that maybe there was some issues that might come up, and, you know, ideally,
Yeah.
I think the most benefit for the town in that particular case would be that it becomes part of that big piece of property.
Now, if we own it, where do we get the money to maintain it? I know that if you bring in an Audubon or a Science Center, something like that, they charge you, but they maintain it, but if it's
Well,
just us.
we've been maintaining these properties, the trail network and stuff through
volunteer
volunteers,
group,
and my hope
yeah.
is that we can continue. Part of that study from the Conway School, you know, that we might actually at some point consider some forestry operations
Yeah.
or something like that, you know, some harvesting of some wood, would that possibly
Okay,
pay for
cover
some?
the- yeah.
You know, and at some point, maybe we would consider asking folks for some sort of donation.
Yeah,
you
Our
know?
CPC could do,
CPC could do, like, if, let's say that we decided on a piece of the property we wanted to do some habitat management, we could ask for CPC money. Like if we wanted to do some emerging growth pieces, if there's some woods that need to be, I mean, who knows what happens with this longhorn beetle, if there's a piece that needs to be cut down or something, maybe we could get some money to do that, and then have a piece that's emerging woodlands. So we have to, hopefully, at some point, we'll stomping out other fires,
yeah.
we'd get back to, or find someone that really wants to delve into that. But that would be my hope.
Can CPC be used for parking for open space?
Well, we have it right now. We have
Yeah.
money, we got money approved
Okay.
to do some of that.
Oh, through CPC for parking, okay.
Yep, because we want to do one off of Bates's Lane at some point. We keep getting distracted from a couple of those projects. Hopefully, once you become fully
Let's get caught up.
Out from under, huh?
Yeah, so,
Good luck with that.
but it is something that I think would be important. I mean, it's a big piece that we put together. We're gonna finish acquiring, hopefully, the Higgins-McAllister piece, and then some, that Appleton piece across the street. And then we really need to put some effort into how we're gonna manage that and do the trails. Right, right, so,
Fran.
I just wanted to tell you, Niles Terrace is halfway down Woodland Road near the homes that Tony Rashadi built. And it doesn't exist, it actually goes into the swamp next to the railroad tracks, I think. You know, if you.
yeah,
if you travel
Petrolia's
along,
piece,
Tony built the two houses
Yeah.
against the railroad tracks. If you keep going straight, there's a little cul-de-sac
Right.
that goes further towards the railroad tracks.
oh, no way.
And I don't think it was ever built, but the lots were laid out way back when.
Right, that was all part of Petrolia's property that,
There's like 4 or 5 lots that are on that
More,
little, well,
yeah.
4 or 5 laid out anyway. But I
Okay.
don't think, it was never built, it goes into
Right.
the swamp.
Who'd you find
It's on the assessment.
Right,
this? Is it?
right.
I knew about where it was, I just wasn't
Yeah.
positive.
getting close to getting done.
McAllister, you didn't pass yet.
I think they're just trying to get the attorneys, and Pat and I gotta get those CRs worked
Oh,
on.
because she won't pass without this, yeah.
And it's the right thing to do.
No, I hear you.
You gotta go, right?
So that's good.
Okay. That's it for the business, right?
Yeah, I think you're really free to go home, huh?
Well, might watch for a bit.
Steve, where is it?
Absolutely.
You know where Woodland Road is?
Yeah.
It goes along the railroad tracks. You're driving along Woodland heading south.
Okay.
It's just a little paper street that cuts off towards the railroad tracks.
It's a big mix. You want to let the ladies from?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't get invited.
Do you want to?
That I don't know. It's all right. Too late now. Too late now.
So, it was my letter that was sent out to you guys with our questions. And then with the things today that I sent my email, but I don't have, I could print them out. It was, wait, you want to take a minute to read it? Goes through the new plans.
This is the second
And,
meeting on that.
you know, this related to turtles and fools. Still haven't spoken with Misty, called her an email.
Is this the second one he's missed on? No, all right, so
It's sent to us.
that's what I heard.
But I
We
can-
gotta talk to Frank.
Call me anytime. I mean, I can make
You
up
guys
copies.
don't, we don't have alternates,
Okay.
you know?
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Today? This afternoon. It was late this
Place for eastern box turtles to migrate through yards and the like. They won't obviously go through a house, but they. They're not going- But
Right, but none of us know enough about it to say.
the risk of seeming like we're nitpicking a bit, you've been extremely cooperative in trying to answer our questions. We simply want to make sure that we, for something this size, we make sure we don't miss something. And it would be that, given the amount of time we're talking about between now and the 28th, that Dave would be able to provide us with his detailed comment letter well in.
I can go. So we really are doing what is right by this project. It is not an individual home. And we have in the past, I've been on the board, this is my 7th year. Constantly, we get our own consultants out there to help us make the right decisions for the area.
Any thoughts?
Well, I think we should ask them how they feel about it. I mean, is this an issue or what?
How do you respond to that?
Well, I thought actually the commission had someone from Beals and Thomas whose focus was wetlands regulation, who was already involved. That's Stacy Minahan, who was here with Dave Johnson at the last meeting. But if the commission wishes to hire someone in a peer review and get and have that person selected and have a report by the 28th, I suppose it's within your power to do so. I'd emphasize that that it would seem only fair, if you're going to do that, that the person is given a very narrow scope of responsibility to focus on the wetland impact, I mean, the wetland resources on the site, and the question of whether this project is causing an adverse effect on the wetland resources on the site. It's not going off looking at some place off-site for potential nesting habitat. It's a question of what's happening on this site and how is this project affecting the wetlands here.
That's fine. I just want to know, I want to make sure that we do the right thing. Is there some small thing we could ask the applicant to do to help protect them? I want to make sure we're doing the right thing here. Okay, that's all I'm asking. It's up to the rest of the board, I don't know. But that's, I would feel much better. It is a very sensitive area, and I'd like to see a development done, but done properly. And is there anything that we could do to enhance us together, the applicant and conservation, that's all. It would be pretty narrow. It would be the habitat. And just check out the vernal pool. And there is a vernal pool over here. I think you're fine on your footage, but you haven't been on that site over there for that other vernal pool. I just want somebody else. I mean, you brought your expert in who walked out there, and I'd just like to have somebody else, and we'll have a meeting of the minds, let's hope in the
Pat,
middle.
would we have a couple of people we could contact about that?
I mean, there are people out there that do this.
Well, I think.
Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, wait. No, I think what the applicant is saying in terms of the narrow field, and what Pat is saying, be specific in terms of
Yes,
what
and
we're
I-
asking
well,
for.
fencing,
I
we
think
we
there's-
actually agree on that.
There may be,
The list.
we may be close to a consensus.
Yeah, that there is a list. But I
Yeah,
would
but-
like to, I would like to, if nothing else, Shannon and myself, take somebody, Dan, out there and show him where we're
Well, that we can do,
concerned.
but that's really a
Yeah,
separate
but
thing.
I'm just, he said we couldn't go off-site with our consultant. So that's why I'm just saying, I would like the opportunity to show somebody where the specific site is that we're concerned about.
And
It's not that bad.
I indicated, Ms. Pipes, that would be happy to have you
That's
schedule a
fine.
meeting
Okay.
with Dan Wells and show him where the nesting area is off-site.
Okay.
My comment about not having your consultant go looking off-site is more of a question of the expense of having someone go looking at places that aren't really within the scope of this project. So if we're paying for a peer reviewer to go do a peer review, he needs to focus on what we're actually doing and not looking at resources that are beyond anything that we look at.
I think we can come up with some parameters that are
That's-
within,
Right.
that are within the
We're just
property
looking for
itself.
something that is gonna impact it, not to do some kind of a witch hunt that's gonna occur outrageous costs.
No.
So, and the question is, do you actually have someone who you can get lined up and get the work done between now and the 28th? Because we're
Yes.
concerned about it.
We'll-
Yeah,
Have to make that a target.
it's the question of, well, we could have chosen somebody back when Beals and Thomas was first selected, so that this kind of review happened early on, and now it's sort of getting stretched. I'm a little bit concerned about the stretching. So if we can have someone picked and get him out there to take a look at our plans and look at the vernal pool on the site and get a report into us before the 28th, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll make myself available, whatever they would need, so we can, for the sake of expediting matters, I'm sure the rest of us would do as well. To walk the site.
What?
Okay, so do we need a motion for that?
I don't believe we need a motion for that. We're just asking them, you
I
know,
think
we
we do.
do have
Okay.
something in mind that can have a report done, I do believe, by that time frame. Yes.
Can I help out just
Yes,
procedurally?
fine.
I think what you would do is you'd find 2 or 3 people, you'd talk to the applicant, develop a budget as well as the parameter, do it as quickly as possible. I think I realize I'm in a butter and I want to be clear about that, but I think for continuity for the commission, you get consultants for single lots where there's one. You have a subdivision that's here and you need something to come back from your consultant to review that. And I think, you know, they've got great experts, as Pat says, National Heritage certainly has that area of expertise, but that's typical of this commission to have a wetlands person look at it. And I think that's the right, but I think you can do that pretty quickly. But you want to also establish a budget that the applicant agrees to.
Budget and parameters, yep.
Yeah.
The budget parameters
And the first,
someone we
you know,
don't have a
maybe
conflict
have a
with.
few
that's all.
different people and
Have a
sit
couple.
down.
That'll,
Hit the last one.
excuse me, that'll take time too, getting 2 or 3 people proposals, you know.
I
Oh, conflict, is that
I
what?
think you can achieve that if you get at it pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Budget, parameter, and what was the third one? I didn't get it.
Ensuring that we don't have a conflict. We don't know who
Oh,
you're,
oh,
who you're,
yeah, okay.
who you're looking
Yeah,
at.
okay.
You know, so
Yep,
Okay.
just want to avoid
okay.
that kind of situation.
Who would we contact? Which one of you should get?
But which one of you would like to be communicated with?
As the contact person,
Right.
you can run it through me, that's fine.
Okay. We'll get
I
right
can-
on that,
I can
sir.
communicate with the team.
Good.
We'll get right on that. Thank you very much.
Right. And if you want to provide some dates and times that
Yeah.
would be convenient for you to go out and show the Sandy area, I'm
Sure.
sure we can help
Sure.
coordinate with Deb and Dan Wells as well, and they can go take a walk with you.
Doesn't hurt to go look at it.
No, that's fine, that's fine. We went out and looked for the site that we thought you were talking about.
We actually went to the same site, so
Yes.
it was a fun
I
walk.
walked through the woods and then got there and went, oh, look at this nice trail I could have walked down and not through all the briars.
Yeah, and there were a lot of briars.
Yes.
All right, so with these people,
Can I-
continue, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, what can I ask you to make sure to help with this?
Oh, definitely. No,
Yeah, I thought
I
you
just
would.
happened to, Friday was a bad day for me, or Thursday, whenever you went out. I waited.
Shan's a teacher, so she couldn't do.
Well,
during the day.
we'll get this.
That's a
Don't worry,
separate one.
I'm on it.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add for now?
Not at this moment.
Is there anybody in the audience that has anything they'd like to say?
Can I ask a question?
Of course. May I have your name, please?
Yep, Patrice Metro, and I'm 223 Cap Road, so I'm in a butter opposite. So I've got a couple questions. I think they're quite easy. One is those two pools that are going to be alongside Clap Road and your development road, what are they going to look like when there's no water in them?
Do you want Deb to respond in a letter?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's supposed to go through you then to her.
Yes, I know. I don't know.
I think, you're talking about the pocket pond that we have at the entrance? Like the, yeah. I think you said you were gonna develop
not-
another one the opposite side of the
That's not a
ponds.
vernal,
That's quite often there.
it's not a vernal pool.
No, this would be a pocket pond, and this over here would be, not a pond, it would not be a pocket pond. It would be, this over here is proposed as mitigation, so it would be actually planting of, understory vegetation.
Okay, so you won't
that's it.
see any more. And that's the area with that ponds at the moment where there's a.
Correct, and there's a cross culvert there,
Okay.
but there will be pockets, that's why they call it a storm, constructed stormwater pocket wetland.
Right.
And it's part of the stormwater, facility that's designed for the project, so there will be, small areas that will still have water in them, but it's all planted with, wetland vegetation. It'll end up looking like a nice wetland after it's planted.
So, I'm sorry, I don't, does that mean it's gonna look like a pond, like small ponds, or like just wet land, or what's?
Deb, you have a detail sheet that has it on it. I think that'll help illustrate it.
Vernal pool has to be wet 6 months out of the year.
What, just before you get into the discussion of the details of that, just as a little bit of an explanation, this is an area that, call it the informal work that we did with the commission leading to settlement agreement and that led to these plans, having this kind of a very detailed, sort of enhanced wetland area being created was part of what the commission wanted us to do as a way of taking what's now just a lawn area and turning it into an area that provides enhanced sediment removal and wildlife habitat and functions to actually improve the water quality as it comes through that area and winds its way towards the street, as well as looking a lot better than just a lawn does. So, Deb, if you want to sort of get into the details of it and describe it.
So basically with the pocket pond, there's what they call micro pools, which is where you could have 18 inches to 2 feet of permanent water all the time. So we have 3 locations. Primarily they're at the inlets and then one at the outlet control structure. And as, say you have a storm event, what'll happen is water comes in and it will slowly meander through all of the vegetation, through the pond, and slowly out through the outlet control structure. So everything in this pocket wetland is vegetated except for those small pools.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm completely ignorant. So there's not gonna be standing water, the water's moving in and out of them, and they're never gonna be empty. They're gonna be muddy or slightly watery, or?
No, these 3 areas, are tied into groundwater, so the ideal thing, I mean, I would imagine if we have a really, really dry August, they may dry up.
Okay.
But the goal is they need to stay as wet as possible, and we wanna have a good depth of groundwater, so we go below groundwater so that we can maintain a decent depth in there so that you don't have the 3 inches of muddy muck there. It's gonna be a permanent pool of water.
Okay. And then, you probably said this in the meeting, what's the deal with the leaching fields or whatever they get called associated with the septic tanks? Does each one of those houses have their own, so there isn't a shared one?
There's not a shared one.
No.
Each
That's not good.
house will have an individual septic system.
And then, if you all do something with your consultants, is there gonna be consideration given to, any impact on the wetland from the stormwaters moving through this development into the wetlands that are on the opposite side of the street off of Clap Road? Eventually feed into the South Swamp or whatever it's called.
It's actually something that already has been evaluated in great detail in
So all those numbers
in the
you've
storm, in the
talked about.
stormwater calculations that have been reviewed by the town's peer reviewer, Dave Johnson from Beals and Thomas.
So all of that is considered as. all
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
part of the whole overarching picture, right.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? You want to where to continue?
Well, it's a blank page. What do you want me to do?
You want a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue, but till October 28th. I have a little problem on the timing, because this is a blank page, there's nothing there. And I don't know if we should
Can
go
we,
with the,
can we put it in for October 28th, pick a time, 7:30, and then understand that it may get updated when we're a week ahead slightly? Is that something that you people can live with? I mean, it may get changed by 15 minutes or something like that.
That's fine. It's a wonderful thing to be able to set it in the calendar that far in advance, and then I
Yeah.
know that I get to hold it, but,
Right.
yeah,
Won't be
if,
before
if it works out that the commission needs us
7:30.
to work around something, well, let us know.
okay, I make a motion to continue to 14 Clap Road, Fern Properties, October 28th at 7:30.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
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 Really appreciate it. We'll get to work right away on the
Thanks a
consultant
lot.
and be
Thank
right
you
back to
very
you.
much.
Good, thank you, folks. Hmm?
Yes, very much. I knew we were gonna get there. I just didn't know how. I really didn't know how, but I knew we were gonna get there.
I just, this has been going on since May.
I know.
And he's right, it should have been, he kept telling me.
I know.
Okay, as long as I will,
We're gonna,
put
we're gonna have to get it.
16th
We're gonna have to get to them before the week's over.
yes, I can do that. We
is,
can do that.
Wednesday.
I think he'll accept it. 3 names, I'm gonna give him two other names. It's
Oh, yeah,
not
I
how
understand.
they want.
I understand. But he's gonna need to know not to go beyond the scope.
I definitely,
He would love to.
I know,
22nd.
I
No,
understand
He's
that.
gonna have to have specific
But,
direction.
no, specific,
Yeah. And we did have to consider the budget too.
Oh,
for-
yeah.
For their sake, okay.
of course.
So it's just, we wrapping?
Yes, I need a
I
motion
make a
to,
motion to close.
To what?
to end the meeting.
Close, to go home.
Want a second?
What do we gotta do?
Wait a minute, let me see,
Oh, we have two, yes.
yes, and I read both.
I read them both, which is
Good.
unusual,
Good,
and they were fine to me.
yep, I make a motion to accept the minutes from
July 22nd,
July 22nd. Where is it?
right here, July 22nd. It isn't, and August 5th.
Does somebody want to second that, please?
Yes.
Second?
Second it. 22nd and 5th together?
Yes.
Second it.
They were both good.
All right. Make a motion to dismiss.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second,
Second.
we're closed.
All right.